One day late in the autumn my master had a long journey to go on business. I was put into the dog cart, and John went with his master. I always liked to go in the dog cart, it was so light and the high wheels ran along so pleasantly. There had been a great deal of rain, and now the wind was very high and blew the dry leaves across the road in a shower. We went along merrily till we came to the toll bar and the low wooden bridge. The river banks were rather high, and the bridge, instead of rising, went across just level, so that in the middle, if the river was full, the water would be nearly up to the woodwork and planks, but as there were good substantial rails on each side, people did not mind it. The man at the gate said the river was rising fast, and he feared it would be a bad night. Many of the meadows were under water, and in one low part of the road the water was halfway up to my knees. The bottom was good, and master drove gently, so it was no matter. When we got to the town of course I had a good bait, but as the master's business engaged him a long time we did not start for home till rather late in the afternoon. The wind was then much higher, and I heard the master say to John that he had never been out in such a storm, and so I thought, as we went along the skirts of a wood, where the great branches were swaying about like twigs, and the rushing sound was terrible. "I wish we were well out of this wood," said my master. "Yes, sir," said John, "it would be rather awkward if one of these branches came down upon us." The words were scarcely out of his mouth when there was a groan, and a crack, and a splitting sound, and tearing, crashing down among the other trees came an oak, torn up by the roots, and it fell right across the road just before us. I will never say I was not frightened, for I was. I stopped still, and I believe I trembled. Of course I did not turn round or run away, I was not brought up to that. John jumped out and was in a moment at my head. "That was a very near touch," said my master. "What's to be done now?" "Well, sir, we can't drive over that tree, nor yet get round it, there will be nothing for it, but to go back to the 4 crossways, and that will be a good 6 miles before we get round to the wooden bridge again. It will make us late, but the horse is fresh." So back we went and round by the crossroads, but by the time we got to the bridge it was very nearly dark. We could just see that the water was over the middle of it, but as that happened sometimes when the floods were out, master did not stop. We were going along at a good pace, but the moment my feet touched the first part of the bridge I felt sure there was something wrong. I dare not go forward, and I made a dead stop. "Go on, Beauty," said my master, and he gave me a touch with the whip, but I dare not stir. He gave me a sharp cut. I jumped, but I dare not go forward. "There's something wrong, sir," said John, and he sprang out of the dog cart and came to my head and looked all about. He tried to lead me forward. "Come on, Beauty, what's the matter?" Of course I could not tell him, but I knew very well that the bridge was not safe. Just then the man at the toll gate on the other side ran out of the house, tossing a torch about like one mad. "Hoi, hoi, hoi! Halloo! Stop!" he cried. "What's the matter?" shouted my master. "The bridge is broken in the middle, and part of it is carried away. If you come on you'll be into the river." "Thank God," said my master. "You beauty," said John, and took the bridle and gently turned me round to the right-hand road by the riverside. The sun had set some time, the wind seemed to have lulled off after that furious blast which tore up the tree. It grew darker and darker, stiller and stiller. I trotted quietly along, the wheels hardly making a sound on the soft road. For a good while neither master nor John spoke, and then master began in a serious voice. I could not understand much of what they said, but I found they thought, if I had gone on as the master wanted me, most likely the bridge would have given way under us, and horse, chaise, master, and man would have fallen into the river, and as the current was flowing very strongly, and there was no light and no help at hand, it was more than likely we should all have been drowned. Master said, God had given men reason, by which they could find out things for themselves, but he had given animals knowledge which did not depend on reason, and which was much more prompt and perfect in its way, and by which they had often saved the lives of men. John had many stories to tell of dogs and horses, and the wonderful things they had done. He thought people did not value their animals half enough nor make friends of them as they ought to do. I am sure he makes friends of them if ever a man did. At last we came to the park gates and found the gardener looking out for us. He said that mistress had been in a dreadful way ever since dark, fearing some accident had happened, and that she had sent James off on Justice, the roan cob, toward the wooden bridge to make inquiry after us. We saw a light at the hall door and at the upper windows, and as we came up mistress ran out, saying, "Are you really safe, my dear?" "Oh, I have been so anxious, fancying all sorts of things." "Have you had no accident?" "No, my dear, but if your Black Beauty had not been wiser than we were, we should all have been carried down the river at the wooden bridge." I heard no more, as they went into the house, and John took me to the stable. Oh, what a good supper he gave me that night, a good bran mash and some crushed beans with my oats, and such a thick bed of straw. And I was glad of it, for I was tired. Questions. Passage 13. 1. The passage begins with "one day late in the autumn," which best describes the implied time frame for the events that follow. A. A single day in late autumn. B. A period of several days or weeks in late autumn. C. The very end of autumn, bordering on winter. D. It's impossible to determine the exact time frame from this sentence alone. 2. The description of the bridge mentions good substantial rails on each side. What does this detail reveal about the author's style? A. A focus on technical details and precise descriptions. B. A desire to create a sense of mystery and suspense. C. An emphasis on the beauty and serenity of the natural world. D. The author's intention to highlight potential dangers despite human efforts at safety. 3. The passage mentions meadows were underwater. This detail serves what purpose? A. Establishes a peaceful and serene rural setting. B. Provides a visual cue foreshadowing the dangers of the rising water. C. Highlights the beauty of the natural world. D. Introduces the theme of human dependence on nature. 4. What does the phrase "so it was no matter," line 9, suggest about Black Beauty? A. Is annoyed by the water reaching his knees. B. Trusts in his master's handling of the situation. C. Finds the water level concerning. D. Needs a break from walking through the water. 5. Black Beauty is described as thinking he understands the master's words. This creates a sense of the horse being more aware than usual. What literary device is used to achieve this effect? A. Hyperbole. B. Anthropomorphism. C. Simile. D. Metaphor. 6. The passage describes the branches as swaying about like twigs. Which literary device is used in this phrase? A. Simile. B. Metaphor. C. Hyperbole. D. Personification. 7. Black Beauty's statement, "I will never say I was not frightened," uses an interesting phrasing. How does this way of expressing fear contribute to the overall narrative style of the story? A. It portrays Black Beauty as a simple animal with limited emotional expression. B. It emphasizes Black Beauty's boastfulness and the need to appear brave. C. It creates a sense of honesty and vulnerability in Black Beauty's narration. D. It highlights Black Beauty's frustration with the situation and lack of control. 8. Black Beauty describes himself as stopped still and trembled. These actions reveal two different aspects of his reaction. How do these actions differ? A. Both actions represent a physical manifestation of fear. B. Stopped still shows fear, while trembled shows anger. C. Stopped still is a conscious choice, while trembled is an involuntary reaction. D. Stopped still indicates resignation, while trembled shows frustration. 9. What does the phrase "brought up to that" imply about Black Beauty? A. Was trained to be fearless and disregard danger. B. Was trained to control his fear and act appropriately in difficult situations. C. Was punished for showing any signs of fear. D. Was curious about the fallen tree and wanted to investigate. 10. 10. What does John's action of jumping out and being at my head, Black Beauty, suggest? A. He wanted to reprimand Black Beauty for his fear. B. He was checking on Black Beauty's well-being and ensuring control. C. He was simply startled by the fallen tree himself. D. He was planning how to use Black Beauty to remove the obstacle. 11. The distance of the detour is described as 6 miles. How does this detail impact the characters and the situation? A. It emphasizes the severity of the storm that caused such a large tree to fall. B. It highlights the characters' lack of patience for such a delay. C. It creates a trade-off between time and safety. D. It foreshadows another potential danger they might encounter on the detour. 12. The passage mentions very nearly dark just before describing going back. How does this detail contribute to the situation at the bridge? A. It emphasizes Black Beauty's fear of the dark, making him hesitate at the bridge. B. It creates limitations in visibility, adding another layer of difficulty to crossing. C. It foreshadows the potential danger they might encounter on the bridge itself. D. It highlights the urgency to get to their destination before nightfall. 13. When Black Beauty disobeys his master's commands and stops despite being told to go on, what does this action reveal about Black Beauty? A. He is stubborn and disobedient, refusing to follow his master's commands. B. He has strong intuitions and prioritizes safety over blind obedience. C. He is confused by the situation and lacks the confidence to proceed. D. He is simply tired from the journey and reluctant to continue. 14. How does John's behavior at the bridge contrast with the master's actions? A. Both John and the master rely on Black Beauty's intuition to assess the danger. B. The master is calm and collected, while John becomes frantic upon seeing the situation. C. The master continues to push Black Beauty forward, while John tries to understand the horse's hesitation. D. The master relies on past experiences, while John actively investigates the situation. 15. How does the description of the bridge damage, broken in the middle, part of it is carried away, impact the characters and the overall story? A. It reinforces Black Beauty's fear of the dark and validates his hesitation at the bridge. B. It introduces a new and significant obstacle, raising the stakes and creating further tension. C. It highlights the toll booth workers' incompetence for not identifying the damage earlier. D. It foreshadows the possibility of another detour or delay in their journey. 16. The master's exclamation, "Thank God," suggests a shift in his emotions. What detail from the passage best supports this change? A. John's gentle handling of Black Beauty after turning him around. B. The description of the approaching darkness and stillness contrasting with the earlier storm. C. The contrast between the master's earlier frustration with Black Beauty and his current gratitude. D. Mistress's anxious wait and relief upon their return. 17. John's words, "You beauty," show his acknowledgement of Black Beauty's role. What is the closest meaning of beauty used in this context? A. Physical attractiveness. B. A term of endearment. C. A reference to Black Beauty's breed. D. A sarcastic remark about Black Beauty's stubbornness. 18. The passage describes the atmosphere as darker and darker, stiller and stiller. How does this detail contribute to the narrative? A. To create a sense of relief after the danger has passed. B. To establish a sense of calm after the earlier storm's chaos, highlighting the contrast. C. To foreshadow another potential danger or obstacle on their journey. D. To emphasize the urgency for them to reach their destination before nightfall. 19. Black Beauty states, "I could not understand much of what they said, but I found they thought." How does this highlight a limitation? A. Black Beauty's lack of education and training. B. The limitation of communication between humans and animals. C. Black Beauty's disinterest in the conversation's topic. D. Black Beauty's deafness, preventing him from hearing the conversation entirely. 20. Black Beauty says he spied on the conversation. Does this imply he literally spied? A. Yes, Black Beauty eavesdropped on their private conversation. B. No, it's a figurative expression suggesting he inferred the conversation's topic based on emotional cues. C. Black Beauty overheard them accidentally without intending to listen. D. Black Beauty peeked in on them through a window to see their conversation. 21. Black Beauty mentions, "on as the master wanted me." What does this phrase reveal about the earlier situation? A. Black Beauty was eager to continue his journey and reach his destination. B. The master was physically forcing Black Beauty to move forward across the bridge. C. Black Beauty highlights the potential danger he avoided by disobeying his master. D. Black Beauty regrets his hesitation and wishes he had followed the master's orders. 22. In the sentence, God had given men reason, what can you interpret about the master's philosophical thought? A. A criticism of Black Beauty's disobedience and lack of reason. B. An acknowledgement of the value of both human reason and animal intuition. C. A dismissal of animal instincts as inferior to human intelligence. D. A justification for the master's own mistakes in judgment during the situation. 23. 23. John's stories about dogs and horses serve what purpose in the narrative? A. To introduce a subplot about other animals encountered on their journey. B. To reinforce the idea that animals can be intelligent and capable. C. To provide comic relief and lighten the mood after the tension at the bridge. D. To foreshadow future dangers Black Beauty might encounter involving other animals. 24. Black Beauty lists potential casualties as horse, chaise, master, and man. Why is man listed separately from master here? A. Black Beauty is unsure of John's identity or social standing. B. It emphasizes the universality of the danger, anyone could have been in John's place. C. Black Beauty is making a distinction between the master's ownership and John as an individual. D. The wording is simply a mistake and has no particular meaning. 25. What does the detail of the gardener looking out for us suggest? A. The gardener was simply enjoying the evening scenery. B. The gardener was worried about their delay and was actively searching for them. C. The gardener was expecting them to return at a specific time. D. The gardener was instructed by the master to wait for their arrival. 26. The phrase "in a dreadful way" describes the mistress's state. What does this best convey about her emotions? A. Mild annoyance at their lateness. B. Deep anxiety and worry about their safety. C. Confusion and frustration about their whereabouts. D. Simple curiosity about the reason for their delay. 27. The mistress asks, "Are you really safe?" Why does she use "really" here? A. To confirm they are physically present and not just a hallucination. B. To emphasize the depth of her earlier anxiety and relief at their safe return. C. To express doubt about the possibility of them being unharmed. D. To inquire about any minor inconveniences they might have faced. 28. Why does the passage specifically mention John taking Black Beauty to the stable? A. To highlight John's daily chore of tending to the horses. B. To show John's attentiveness to Black Beauty's well-being after the ordeal. C. To emphasize the separation of Black Beauty from the master and mistress. D. To foreshadow a future interaction between John and Black Beauty. 29. Black Beauty is given a thick bed of straw. How does this detail contribute to the overall message? A. It emphasizes the luxurious lifestyle Black Beauty enjoys as a valuable horse. B. It highlights the importance of comfort and recovery for Black Beauty after his experience. C. It foreshadows a future journey where Black Beauty might not have such comfortable bedding. D. It simply describes a standard practice of providing straw for horses. 30. Black Beauty receives a good supper after the ordeal. How does this detail connect to the overall theme of the passage? A. It simply shows the master's appreciation for Black Beauty's expensive value as a horse. B. It highlights the bond between Black Beauty and John, who recognizes and rewards his actions. C. It emphasizes the harsh realities of animal life, where good behavior is met with basic necessities. D. It foreshadows future rewards Black Beauty might receive for his good behavior.